What is narcissism? Well, the Greek story best explains this. Minos, a young man, fell in love with Narcissus, who had already rejected all male suitors. Minos was also rejected by Narcissus, who gave the unfortunate young man a sword. Minos killed himself at Narcissus' doorstep, praying to the gods to give Narcissus a lesson for all the pain he had provoked. Then, one day, Narcissus was walking by a lake and saw his reflection in the water. Narcissus was surprised by the beauty he saw. He became entranced by the reflection of himself. He could not obtain the object of his desire, though, and died at the banks of the lake from his sorrow. According to myth, Narcissus is still admiring himself in the underworld, looking at the waters of the river Styx. Just like the Greek myth, narcissism is what drives this piece. Originally displayed in 1966 outside the Italian Pavilion, Narcissus' garden is composed of 1,500 tightly arranged shimmering balls. Each of these spheres is identical in size, which was that of a fortune teller's crystal ball, and has convex surfaces, creating an illuminating reflective field in which the images of the artists, the visitors, the architecture, and the landscape were repeated, distorted, and projected. It also produces images appearing smaller and closer than in reality. Narcissus' garden functions to force the viewer to confront their own narcissism, because when one looks at the ball, they see themselves. She sold these balls for $2, which also functions to offer a critique of the mechanization and commodification of the art market. To create this piece, Kusuma received moral and financial support from Fontana and permission from the chairman of the Biennale Committee. Kusuma placed two signs in the original installation: Narcissus Garden Kusuma and Your Narcissism for Sale on the lawn. She was selling the mirror balls to passers while distributing flyers with Reed's complimentary remarks about her work on them. She consciously drew attention to the otherness of her exotic heritage by wearing a gold kimono with a silver sash. The monetary exchange between Kusuma and her customers underscored the economic system embedded in art production, exhibition, and circulation. The Biennale officials eventually stepped in and put an end to her selling. Kusuma is once quoted saying, "If it were not for art, I would have killed myself a long time ago." As a child, Kusuma suffered severe hallucinations and obsessive thoughts, often of a suicidal nature. She claims that as a small child, she suffered severe physical abuse by her mother, and in 1973, Kusuma returned to Japan in ill health, where she began writing shockingly surrealistic novels, short stories, and poetry. Kusuma then checked herself into the Suwa Hospital for the mentally ill and has stayed there for the remainder of her life. Kusuma is also quoted saying, "A polka dot has the form of the sun, which is a symbol of energy, of the whole world, and our loving life. Also, it is the form of the moon, which is calm, round, soft, colorful, senseless, and unknowing. Polka dots become movement, and polka dots are a way to infinity." Kusuma has been called the Princess of Polka Dots throughout her career because she has returned to the polka dot as a visual motif and as a symbol of herself and of the world. She claims that her fascination for the dots came as a result of the hallucinations she suffered as a child, and she channeled this experience into the philosophy of self-obliteration, where being overwhelmed is not a feverish ordeal, but instead a celebratory choice. Kusuma's goal is to cover the entire world in dots. This garden is my absolute favorite piece in the 250. At first, it was just because it was so beautiful to look at. The shiny balls, the repetition, and the wonderful landscape in contrast to the shiny balls caught my eye. But then the more I look at it, the more I understand it. It does calm me down. Looking at Narcissus Garden, I just want to interact with the piece. And I want to pick a ball up, look at it, and feel something, anything. Maybe I'll feel what Kusuma intended, some guilt for my narcissistic nature. Or maybe I'll just get a wash of calmness, just like the type of calmness I get when I look at the piece. Well, I hope this helped you better understand Narcissus Garden, and maybe, just maybe, this will be your favorite piece in the 250 as well. Bye!